I didn't mean to do that. Hello, everybody. If you're watching, give me 1 second so I can adjust. Wow. Oops. Oh, I guess I can't. I guess we're going straight like this. Okay, so be it. Well, welcome, everybody. We have impromptuly started this live stream, which I did not want to do yet, but we're doing it, and we're happy about it. And once I get you set up and perched and not falling apart here. All right. Let's see, how we doing? All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm outside. It's such a beautiful day out today, and I would be remiss if I didn't come out and enjoy the sunshine with each and every one of you, especially as we head into our autumn season, as we get set for a huge Autumn Asylum. September 28th and 29th, a big two-day event. All 4 championships are on the line, and a big set of matches coming up leading up to that, as well as including that 2-day event that are grudge matches and feuds. I'm here to break it all down for you. I'm not going to get too thorough because these tend to go a little bit longer than I'd like them to. So we're going to break it down, we're going to keep it easy, and we're going to have ourselves a good time as we get ourselves ready for a big time autumn season for Colonial Impact Wrestling here in our 10th year. We begin with a couple of Saturday night hype matches, of course, just to get the blood boiling and the juices flowing. The first is a tag match between the Sons of Lavos, Chrono and Magus of Chrono Trigger against Ganondorf and the Riddler, 2 members of the Greasy Green Gigolos, and a contingent known as Ganidler, and we'll see if they will be able to pull off a win against the stalwart tag team that has been here from the start. Just a week following, we have Reptile versus Ermac in a feud of ninjas. Apparently, a couple of words have been exchanged on Twitter as far as disappointment in Ermac's actions and talking about Ermac's kids. Ermac didn't like that, and so we have that match. And then the week following, and these are, of course, on Saturdays at 9 p.m. as per usual. We are not changing up our schedule leading up to that. So that is the 7th for the tag match and the 14th of September for the Reptile versus Ermac match. And then we have the pre-show for Autumn Asylum 2024. It is a 2-match card. It's tag team action first between the women. It is Padme Amidala and her tag team partner, who she has yet to name, but I believe, at least from what our sources are confirming, because Abe Bizzle has made it kind of difficult for me to know what's what nowadays. My sources are saying that it is allegedly going to be Yuna, because of their battles with the Natalie World Order, and that will be their opponents, Evie Hammond and Nina Sayers of the Natalie World Order. Then we have a major 6-man matchup. It is the Forgotten Fighters in Sagat, Nathan Von Schrader, and the newest addition, as we found out over the summer, in Brandon Ulrich, going up against Simon Belmont and 2 men he has recruited to help take down this 3-man team in Ken Masters and Johnny Cage. Johnny Cage, familiar with the rules of this upcoming matchup, and this 6-man tag is not just an ordinary 6-man tag, because Belmont and Sagat have been at odds for a good portion of the year, and with everything that's intertwined these 6 together, with Ulrich's debut and Von Schrader and the attack and their motion there against Simon Belmont at the Brawl Q, not to mention everything that Ken's gone through, to mention everything that Johnny Cage has gone through, we have decided to bring Soul Calibur Gauntlet. That's right, folks. We are going to be having a Soul Calibur Gauntlet main event, the pre-show on September the 21st, and the rules of that matchup will be explained later in the weeks to come if you haven't seen one of these before, as well as on the night of. Basically, it's a series of one-on-one matches. You can't leave the ring. There are no rope breaks and no submissions. The only way to do the duty of the victory is to pin your opponent or knock them out, and the first team to eliminate all 3 members will be the winner, but no more than person he's allowed in at any time. It's going to be a great time, so stay tuned for that on September the 21st, a big-time Soul Calibur Gauntlet for a number of grudge feuds that have intertwined and intersected. Will Ken or Johnny be able to finally break their losing streaks, and can Simon Belmont finally get his hands on Sagat in a one-on-one setting? Stay tuned on September the 21st, and then the 28th. You have returned, my people. believe we are still streaming. We got thrown here for a minute. I hope you're all still with us. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what exactly happened there. It just completely froze as somebody gave me a phone call, kind of not important to the CIW working. So apologies for that. I don't know what that's going to look like when we see that actually on the stream. So bear with me as we get through this. But we're back, and it's time for Autumn Asylum. Now, day 1 and day 2, the card is subject to change who goes where. We're not necessarily positive about where the main events are going to be, except for, well, we know where the main events are. And then everything else is kind of in flux at the moment. And of course, Abe Bizzle's making a lot of those decisions, so it's not as much us that, well, me, I should say, that has the influence in that. And Abe Bizzle refuses to come on and do one of these storylines himself, seeing how he's running the show. So here we are, day 1, day 2, all in the umbrella of this 2-day Autumn Asylum. We do know the main event of day 1 is the rematch for the Exceed Championship, now known as the ABP Championship, as Abe Bizzle looks to defend his belt against the man who he won it from in Sephiroth. One-on-one matchup. Hopefully it remains a one-on-one matchup. And that is going to main event day 1. And our main event of day 2 we will talk about at the end. As for everything else, Pepsi Zero had a very interesting summer, definitely, in the big fatal attrition match that they had at No Man's Land with the Shades of Black that ended up in the deterioration, at least it seems now, of that faction, and we'll get to that in a minute. But between that and Piccolo, who was in that matchup of the Greasy Green Gigolos, actually pinned Pepsi Zero. Ben Pepsi Zero, anytime he's pinned in a non-singles match, he says Pepsi Zero has lost 0 times. And that was enough for Abe Bizzle to go, okay, you want a match against Piccolo on that basis? Let's see if you could do what Ganondorf couldn't. So we are getting Piccolo versus Pepsi Zero one-on-one. In addition, Mr. Clean has been challenged by the Prince of Persia in a one-on-one match, and Mr. Clean said, you know, I will be happy to have a match against you because you leave sand everywhere. You have been leaving sand all over the place, and I am getting tired of cleaning up after you because we have actually hired Mr. Clean to do a good amount of the custodial duties as well. So we really appreciate him for all of his efforts. But in any case, he is going to go one-on-one against the Prince of Persia, who has been gathering a good amount of wins lately, has beaten Johnny Cage, has beaten Ken Masters, has beaten a good number of folks over the summer, especially and now we're going to see what he is able to do against Mr. Clean here in this matchup at Autumn Asylum, September 28th and 29th. Again, what day that's going to be on is still a little bit in flux. We also have, Speed, we talked about the Shades of Black, as Riddick and Neo are going to go one-on-one after the shocking betrayal in the middle of the Fatal Attrition match this past June at No Man's Land. Those two individuals now face each other one-on-one, and I found out some information, and I will say only this right now, and we will get to more of this in the future, especially on the 28th and 29th as these two have this matchup. But from what I'm told, way back a couple of years ago, the Shades of Black, Agent 47, Neo, and Riddick had a triple threat match, and it went 40 minutes. And it was supposed to kind of hash out all their issues, and during that, Abe Bizzle and I kind of had some discussion about what was going on in their lives that led to this point and some of the issues that they had that they wanted to work out. And one of those issues was the initiation process at the beginning of CIW in 2014 to get in. There was a lot of hazing. There was a lot of pranks that were being pulled. And one of those pranks was apparently Neo shaved the heads of Riddick and Agent 47. And he never got his comeuppance for that. And I know that's a weird grudge to hold on to, but there was a lot of fouler play involved. But that is one of the major incidences that they've actually caused their hair loss, on top of other things. And Neo kind of feels some level of like Samsonism, where he feels some level of superiority, I suppose, against these two, and will not apologize for those hazing days. And that's the thing. He's like, all we want is an apology. Neo says no, and you've been holding this team back as both Riddick and Agent 47. Now, Agent 47, as far as I know, his business, he had a business that he was trying to launch that was going to get picked up and didn't. But as far as I know, he has just gotten some calls back. So I don't know whether he will be at Autumn Asylum or not. Regarding that, he's trying to launch his small business. Hopefully that works out for him. He put a lot a lot of effort into it. So I really hope that that does work out. So we don't know what necessarily his feeling is, but that's what Riddick told me about the situation between him and Neo. And Neo basically said, you're being a little biatch to Riddick during that. And now we are going to find out for sure, because these two are going to have their first one-on-one match ever. What is the fate? And as far as I know, Pepsi Zero's like, I don't care. I didn't lose. I'm facing Piccolo. So he doesn't really seem to have a dog in this race. So we're going to see what happens when Riddick versus Neo one-on-one. The Shades of Black have imploded. What does it mean for the future of the faction? We'll find that out at Autumn Asylum. We also have the major tag team match, because nothing has been able to stop these teams from brawling. And they weren't really teams. Well, one of them was, but the other was just the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and that is how the allegiance was formed. We have the unholy alliance, Hellfire and Brimstone, of Satan and the Grim Reaper in a tag team match against Kratos, the Son of the South, the former two-time CIW champion, and Shiva, the ruler and master and defeater of 1,116 gods, and a former CIW champion in his own right. A monstrous tag team match coming up at Autumn Asylum. Which team will be able to get the victory there and maybe put this feud to bed once and for all? But these are deities, and they seem to like fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. What's going to come out of that? Stay tuned. You'll find out soon. Then we have our championship matches. The tag team championships, we determined after a hellacious tag team match between Mario and Luigi and Team Mischief. Mario and Luigi dug down deep. Luigi got the huge upset pin against Wario, and that means DC, in what I assume will be Batman and the Penguin, will take on Mario and Luigi for the CIW Tag Team Championships. Can the Mario Brothers beat and finally end the 1.5 year long reign of DC? Stay tuned for what's going to come out of that. In addition, the Women's Championship on the line. The Pink Ranger Sydney of the SPD Space Patrol Delta shocked the world when she won the triple threat matchup to earn this match. And she pinned Black Cat, who she's had some interesting relationships with, some of which friendly, some of which kind of confusing in nature. But we are going to see Wonder Woman versus the Pink Ranger for the Women's Championship at Autumn Asylum. And our main event of day 2, Spider-Man, Symbiote Spider-Man Bully Maguire, going up against his former tag team partner of the Heroes of Fortune, Aquaman, in the first World Championship match Aquaman has ever had. The former 3-time Exceed champion, Aquaman, might I add, who is a huge member of DC, and this is his first opportunity. And I was told that Symbiote Spider-Man requested, the champion requested, that this match not just be a regular match, because he wants to go the limit and test Aquaman. He wants to make sure Aquaman brings his absolute best. So we have been told that Symbiote Spider-Man has requested, and Abyssal has approved, Symbiote Spider-Man Bully Maguire one-on-one with Aquaman in a 30-minute Iron Man match to close out Autumn Asylum on day 2, September 29th. A huge Sunday night main event, folks. You are not going to want to miss it. CIW is only getting hotter from there. Of course, Hollow Wrestling is coming up. We've got Thanks Grappling that's coming up. We've also got Revelation coming up, the big 3-day event at the end of December. Some Saturday night hype matches leading up to that. WrestleBration 11. We're rocking and rolling as the leaves are changing. So is CIW, and you can be along for the ride, and you know how to do it. You got to like, you got to share, you got to subscribe, you got to comment on each and every video. Switch the bell button to all, because not only will you be informed every time that CIW posts, but you will also be donating to the Save a Referee Fund to make sure our referees who get hit in the line of fire constantly are safe from harm and get the medical attention and medical care they need, so it is not burdensome on their shoulders, because nobody likes medical bills, most especially referees who are just trying to do their job. But speaking of doing their job, I got to make some phone calls. I have some signings to take care of. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming to this storyline update, and we will see you in 2 days for the Sons of Lavos versus Ganondorf and the Riddler Tag Team Action Saturday Night Hype. Thank you all for coming.